We are live, another edition of ThursDIAZ. I am Beto Duran. I had to move out of the Beto Vision studios. I got kicked out. The cats came in, and so the garage is taking over. So I had to go into a little dark room. So hopefully the lights work pretty soon. Pero la maldita pobreza, it continues to go. Coach Joel Diaz, Roberto Diaz, we are all here. Roberto is getting his fancy water, and he's going to show off his Gucci shirt right away.
No. He's got dinner, wine. Let me see what else. He got dessert.
I got naranjitas with de la sal esa de gusano.
Oh, you see?
Mezcal con naranjas and, yes, a little bit of water.
And a little bit of water. It is. Ay, la buena vida que tiene Roberto Diaz. Coach Joel Diaz, ¿cómo estamos? ¿Qué pobreza tiene?
No, gracias a Dios, todo bien, trabajando todos los días. Ahorita acabo de llegar del building. Ya vamos progresando cada día más. Ya comencé con los permisos, the business license. Ahorita, hace como 30 minutos, llegué a la casa y nomás llegué, me eché un baño y aquí listo porque tenía la gente trabajando ya. Pero no, ya va todo muy bien, se mira todo muy bien. Las cosas, los ajustes, modificaciones que hicimos ahí para poner 2 rings, quedó muy bien. Tenemos, y ya fueron la semana pasada, ya me dieron todo para el aire acondicionado, las units que van a poner, los ductos. Everything's looking really, really good, and everything's moving on a little faster than the last month.
That's awesome.
Just from what I saw today on the social media, you could see, from maybe a couple weeks ago to now, a huge difference because now you can see the space, cleaned up, the roof where they're doing the roof it looks like, wow, it looks big now.
And right now what we're doing is, once they fix that area that was burnt, which is all the new area, the modifications there, that whole wall right there is going to be something that I wanted to do. And like I said, this guy went over there and measured. He ordered the material. That wall right there is going to be just corrugated metal. The entire wall is 50 feet by 10 feet. And that's going to be just for like logos and stuff like, pictures. But it's going to be right by the rings. Because I'm going to have 2 rings right by the wall.
Wow.
So, any pictures, anything's going to be in that. On the other side is going to be a wall only for speed bags. I'm going to have speed bags, different heights. And then the rest of the wall is going to be nothing but punching bags. And then there's going to be area with just punching bags, area with double in bags. It's going to be, the way we designed it is going to be something very different. And then we have a room on the back where I'm going to have a sauna and I'm going to have 2 ice bathtubs that are going to be there. We got a meeting room. I told Antonio we got plenty of space. We're going to have a meeting room, like, whenever you guys come down and you guys have, something in the gym, like a media training, for example, you guys have your own meeting room for you guys. I'm going to have a table. With
that would be good, like, if we do let's just say, an open workout for one of the fights, and you got a bunch of the fighters that are working out, then the media can take them in there and do one-on-ones or do a round table with the fighters and stuff, so that's great. Or if I go in there and sign one of the young fighters, we could sit down, make it look professional, and sign in the back.
I thought about everything. So since I have plenty of space, I'm gonna try to make it nice for every occasion. I know that Indio, it's big on boxing, and you guys work really well with Fantasy Springs. So I know that in the future, hopefully all this pandemic is over. I know we're gonna go back to coming back to Indio, having fights, and a lot of fighters are going to come here. Like, for example, Jose called me, hey, Coach, Linares is going to be out here for 2 weeks. What do you recommend? I said, whatever you want. He's over there in Redlands, or you want to bring him over here, you can train over here. And that would be great if, let's say, for example, my gym would be ready by now. He would be training at my gym, And that's my goal, so that when you guys have fights here and you guys do media workouts, any meetings, or any of you guys fighters, there are in the cards, they want to use the gym just to work out, shake out, lose weight, it's going to be open for that.
That's awesome. That is awesome. As always, we start off the show. As I mentioned, he's going to join us right now. Eddie Aguilera, who makes great boxing trunks. You guys go to him. The Green Eyed Bandit checking in. And then the Underground Kangs, or Underground Hands, who listens on the iTunes and YouTube and all that other stuff. And also, shout out to Danny Zamora, trainer for Michael Dutch over at Ruben Torres. Got 2 wins over the weekend. We'll talk about him later. But he told me a great story that he doesn't watch the YouTube show, but he listens on Spotify. So we do have the show available on iTunes and Spotify. He said he's out there working his landscaping jobs, and he'll be outside of somebody's window just cracking up. And somebody came up to him the other day and said, "What are you laughing at? You're out here with your weed whacker and you're laughing. It's 100 degrees." He's like, "It's ThursDIAZ." It was us harassing Razo last week. So that was what it's for. So it's available on YouTube, also on iTunes, Spotify. But as always, we start off with, what are you drinking right now? So Joel Diaz, let's start with you.
You know what? I haven't had a drink since the other day we were out there. I'm drinking Casa Mexico tequila again. But this time I switched it up. I got the pineapple, like Razo said. Hey, I like the pineapple, I like the coconut, and just drinking pineapple with tequila, it's good. It's just, we want to talk boxing today, so I'm just gonna relax and enjoy.
Y para el calor, Roberto Diaz, who has an old Gucci shirt today.
I got a little bit of mezcal.
Ay.
With some naranjitas recién peladas and azúcar, salecita de gusano. Perdón, no azúcar, salecita.
Mezcal. The last time I had mezcal, I was in Mexico City, and I almost missed my flight. So I'm not even talking about that. I am drinking a California Spirit whiskey. A good friend of mine, Maverick Ace, John, lives in Oceanside. He started working for this company, and he sent me a bottle for ThursDIAZ, California Spirit whiskey. I haven't had it, but it's a whiskey made here in California, so I'm going to crack that open up in a little bit. Then after this, I might make a whiskey and coke, but I also got some wine because it was a long week. And let's get to this. Last week, we were in a bubble, kind of. Roberto, you stayed in Southern California. You stayed home. I was at the Golden Boy bubble in Indio. Coach, I saw you at the Thompson show. And right now, before we get into the fights and everything else, let me just say this right now, and this isn't because I work for Golden Boy or Thompson, but the effort it takes to pull off a show normally, it's hard. To pull it off during this pandemic and to make sure that everything goes right, even harder. So they're not watching or anything like that, but I just want to send a shout out to Carla, and Razo from Golden Boy, able to get everybody tested and into their rooms at the Fantasy Springs Casino. And the way it worked was this. You get to your hotel, you park, you check in, drop off your bag, and then come down, and they give you your test. As soon as you take your test, straight to your room, you don't leave until the next morning. And I kid you not, around 9 p.m., I started thinking, what if I'm positive? I mean, I had already tested the week before, but I'm like, what if? And they tell you that they're going to knock on your door at 8 o'clock. You have the meals delivered to you, room service comes, they knock on your door, and then they leave. They don't even have any kind of interaction with you. And I'm looking at 7:30, pounding on my door. Boom, boom, boom. Razo and Carla, director of logistics for Golden Boy, have the mask on. And they are a couple feet away from the door. And you have one wristband, and they don't say anything. And like the way that they looked is like, I'm contaminated. I'm like, oh yeah, but I'm like, fuck. And I'm there for DAZN as the backup in case Todd Grisham or Sergio Mora get sick. I have to fill in. So if the backup is sick, then what happens? The way that they looked at me, Coach and Roberto, I thought I was positive. And then finally they said, oh, okay, put your hand down. Let's change your wristband. Like but that kind of fear right there. And then once they change your wristband, from then you're allowed to go to the fight venue. You can't even go to the Starbucks, which is 20 feet away. You have to go past the pool. Security is on every single floor, making sure that nobody else comes onto the floor. So you felt safe, and they took all the precautions. And just even the way that they handled the weigh-in, where the fighters only, and then they get out of there and they go separate. So to see that happen, and having talked to the people who I know at the NBA bubble and also with baseball and soccer, it's crazy the amount of teamwork required to pull that off. And kudos to the Golden Boy staff and the California State Athletic Commission to work in conjunction to get everything going on. And I know that it's not easy and it takes a village to get it done. And you saw people doing jobs that they normally don't do because that's what you have to do right now. And I just want to take, and like I said, that's not me kissing up. It's just me watching from a distance of, damn, this is hard to do. And I can't even imagine how much planning went into this. So, Roberto, I know you weren't there, but I know you were in contact because Robert Garcia tested positive the first time, Virgil's trainer in Indio. So I know that Roz was on the phone with you. If me as a broadcaster, it's hectic looking outside in, I can only imagine for you. What was your weekend like finally trying to pull that off?
Well, it was tough, and you're right. First of all and foremost, kudos to the whole team. Everybody worked their butt off. Joelito, I heard for 2 days nobody knew about him. There was an MIA.
Yeah, him too.
Yeah, he was on the milk carton and everything because the staff was reduced. You had certain people doing multiple tasks, and Carlita had to go home, and Joelito was doing what Carlita does and what he does, what other people do. I mean, he was doing everything out there. So kudos to the whole team. It was tough. It was tough because a few fighters had to get retested just to make sure. We had one fight fall off, nothing to do with COVID. We got the call very early in the morning that Mercito had food poisoning and had been up all night with pain and vomiting and everything. So you're worried, just like you said, you were worried and stressed about. That's when you start thinking, what if I test positive? Well, in my mind, the night before, I'm just thinking, I just want to hear that everybody's negative. I don't want to hear positive. And then I'm hearing one of the fighters was, like 14 pounds over.
Damn.
And I'm stressing, and I'm like, oh my God. And they wouldn't let us check his weight. And I tell him to work out, and then at 11:30, I want you to go check his weight. They wouldn't let us. In the morning, I wanted to check his weight before the weigh-in. They wouldn't let us. It was like, don't worry, we're going to make weight. We always make weight. But when they don't let you see what the progress is, that makes you wonder,
there's no record.
Okay, there's no progress, and I don't want to surprise. At least if they told me, look, we're going to be over, I can go to the other team and say, don't cut so much weight. I mean, so all those stresses were going on. And sure enough, the guy showed up. He made weight. Samuel Vargas was 160 on Thursday afternoon, and he was 146.6 come weigh-in day. So he said it was all water weight. We didn't have to worry. We had to trust him. But we had never worked with Samuel Vargas.
Yeah.
So they always tell you, I'm going to make it. Don't worry. Until they don't. And that's what I didn't want that night to be that fight that we were going to lose because of weight issues. So, no, it was great. Obviously, it was a first show, and it was a learning experience for everybody, the commission, for us, the fighters even that never been through this, and the teams. But at the end of the day, you know what? It was a great event, and we're glad that one down, and hopefully not many more to go under this situation, which would mean pandemic's over and done. But I think it's only going to get smoother because now we know what to expect.
Yep.
Being on the bubble at the Thompson event, you can see how the California Commission is working. Obviously, they want to do everything right. They are strict.
Oof.
Because you saw that. You saw that, Beto.
I got yelled at.
We saw that because we are in there, and in the dressing room is like, even in the dressing room, remember, Spider +2. And even the team has to be distant 6 feet from each other. I mean, obviously when you wrap them and stuff like that, but when you're just hanging out in the dressing room, I mean, you gotta be, 6 feet apart, and you got your mask on at all times until walking into the ring. And it's understandable. Everybody's taking their precautions because they want the sport to move on. And we'll see. But like for example, I have a fight August 15, Oklahoma, and this is the only thing that throws me off. That's why I prepare my fighters. I have a fight August 8 in LA, on the Fox card. We have to go way before, and we've been testing for the last 2 weeks, and they test us every Tuesday, every Friday. And for the Matchroom show, we have to test. I mean, this week, next week, and before we get in that plane. But
hey, Joel, but so okay, so you got 2 shows. You got to test for one show, and at the same time, you got to test for the other show. So you're testing double?
Yes.
So one show won't take the others?
No, they changed that.
You know, for example, the other day they did. When I came into the Thompson boxing event, and I tested there, and I had to do a test for the Fox event next week, and I said, hey, I just tested over here. Well, can you send me the results? So then I emailed Jeanette, and she was very courteous to send me the email and the results, so I just forwarded it to them. But over here, for the Matchroom show in Oklahoma, as soon as we arrive, we have no socializing with nobody, not even the team. The fighters, they have to go, if they want to go to the gym, they gotta go by themselves. And like, okay, well, it's gonna be a little hard in that way, because the schedule goes, fighters go to the gym on their own, they have a treadmill, they have whatever they need in there, and then they go back to their room. So none of the team members can go with the fighters to the gym.
Wow.
We're gonna see. I mean, everybody has their own procedures, so I guess we just gotta follow them.
It's interesting, and we have an echo. Hold on, let me, before we get going. Why do we have an echo here?
I don't hear an echo.
I don't. So Lem says she hears an echo. Razo says he hears an echo.
They've been drinking all day.
Yeah, we sound good. I got the microphone. We're good. Before we keep on going, let's see here. Make sure. And how about now? We good? Or
there goes that CBD.
let's see. How about now? 1, 2. Back to normal. How about there? There's an echo from Joel. That's because Joel's in a room where he's ready to party. He's ready to party. Big echo. Wow, really? Out of nowhere.
This is the spot I've always been.
I know. And it only happened.
I'm in a different room. I'm in a different room today, but there shouldn't be an echo.
Yeah, my reverb.
Echo.
Nothing's changed since we started the show. What the heck?
I think Razo and Lem are drinking already.
Yeah, we're fine. It said check the reverb. You know what? Let's just do the show, and then as long as you and us three, una plática. If they want to join us, whatever.
We don't have an echo between us three.
Yeah, we're good. You know what? I'm gonna take a shot. So here we go.
Me too. I want to say un saludo hasta Brasil al campeón del mundo que nos escucha ahorita, Patrick Teixeira, campeón.
Hey.
Patrick Nacimiento. I know they're on. They texted me earlier they would be on.
Hey, saludos a Pacha, el campeón. Y a todos. Whiskey. Salud.
Cheers.
Oh.
Ow.
Wow. That's a good whiskey, my man Maverick sent it. Woo. All right, now I'm going to wake up. Damn, that's got a little cinnamon in it. All right. Do good. All right, anyway. All right.
There's the echo.
The echo is me. Woo. Caesar Campo is happening. So, from the Golden Boy show, we went to Thompson, and Roberto, give you the heads up. I went from the Indio Bubble, where I had to drive to Corona to do their show. As soon as I got there, that morning they told us, Beto, you have to retake the test. Because there had been some flare-ups in Indio, they wanted to make sure that everybody was fine. So that's why I had to retake the test. Originally, they had told me and some of the other commissioners that we didn't have to. So we had to retake the test. And the California Commission...
I mean, I can understand that
totally
in the sense, not even because of any tests that were positive in Indio, but you're out of the bubble now, and on your way there, whether it's you drove and you're only in your car, but people might tend to stop and eat or go home or something. So I could see, okay, now you came out of the bubble, going into another bubble, but you got to be tested again.
Yeah, I got it, but it's the precaution we're learning as we go. But if you notice, if you watch the DAZN show on Friday, I was the ring reporter. So I'm doing my reports, doing the interviews, and you can see my hands. No gloves. Perfectly fine. I get to Thompson show on Sunday. They're like, Beto, you have to wear gloves. Everybody in the building had to wear gloves for the Sunday show. They're taking another precaution. So in Indio, the gloves were only worn by the people involved in the fight. For moving forward, they want everybody in the building to have gloves for sanitary reasons.
Now, let me ask you, what was the purpose of the glove? Because my understanding, if I sneeze and I have gloves on, I could still pass it on because the glove's going to touch something. So the glove is to...
I don't know.
What?
They just came up to me and said, Beto, you got to have the gloves on. So I said, okay, on camera, no problem. But at Thompson, what they did is we had an area where I sat, and in between myself and Doug Fisher, there was plexiglass separating all four of us. So I sat down, and first thing I did was take off the gloves because I have to use a pen to write. I have my notepad. I type. I'm interacting with people on Twitter on my phone, and I take off the glove. Commission came right up, put the gloves on. I'm like,
if you think that's hard, imagine me with the gloves wrapping hands when you have to cut the tape and the tape gets stuck on the glove and you have to be snapping it out.
When you were wrapping, you had to have the gloves on?
Yes.
wow.
Roberto, I tried to take off my gloves while I was wrapping the fighter, and the committee, no, put on your gloves. I'm like, it's hard for me to wrap. Oh, you got to have them on. Okay, so, you have to cut the tape for strips between the fingers. So as soon as you cut the tape, I mean, obviously you got the sticky part, and it sticks on the glove, and you're just snapping it off the glove. It's so uncomfortable trying to wrap.
I think it is a learning experience for them as well. They've never been through this, because just that alone, if it could be done, that's one thing. If it has been done, that's another thing. But if it's never been done and it's uncomfortable to do, they can't really come and say, hey, you got to do it. Okay, show me, cabrón. A ver, ponte tú los guantes and wrap. Oh, that's not my job. But here's the other thing that threw me off. If everybody in the bubble has been tested and they're negative, okay? I mean, and let's just say fighter and teams. Everybody else is away, distant. Officials, production, promotion. Joel and his fighter have been tested and they're negative, and that's why they're in the corner fighting that day. Why does the corner have to wear a mask? They're clean. They're negative. They can't transmit to their fighter because they're negative. So I think, yes, there's precautions, everything, but I think right now it's still that fright. And look, I'd rather be over than under, because if something happens and then there's a widespread and people start testing positive after the event, guess what? Government's going to say, let's shut it down.
And that's another thing where it's one of those where it's not the commissioners that are talking to us and inspectors. They did a great job. It's probably something way above our pay grade. Because it just from Friday to Sunday. But I get it. At least the most important, okay, not for that stuff. Most importantly, we had boxing back. And that's cool. Finally, it was there. And we had two good shows. Let's start with the Thompson one just because it was real quick. It was 3 fights. Arnold Dinong, Ruben Torres got a knockout against Joel's guy. A stoppage, and then Michael Dutchover got the win. And Coach, you were there. It was at the Omega Products in Corona, where normally it's outside. But Roberto, this time we were inside the warehouse, and if you would have turned on the lights, you would have saw nothing but pallets of stucco. And it was kudos to Mr. Ken Thompson and Alex Campanova to make sure we even have a fight going on. Jessica Rosales and Doug Fisher did a great job on the broadcast. But Coach, for me, it felt weird. What was it like for you there?
It was weird as soon as I pulled up, because I'm used to, remember, when I started my career as a trainer, I started there. With Tim Bradley debuted there at the warehouse. And, just pulling up on California Street right off the 10, it's like, you pull up on the warehouse and you see the warehouse on the right, and on the left you see the yard. And the yard is where you have the ring and the fights.
Yep.
So as soon as I pull up and I see the yard and I don't see a ring, because usually you see a ring and you see the lights and like, am I at the right place? So I'm looking around. So I drove around the building until I saw, okay, there's another entrance. I go, so they're gonna be inside? And they're like, yeah. It's my first time, because all the fights that I've been to, going to Thompson boxing. It's always been on the yard outside. And now, like, you go to the building, you go inside the building, they check temperature as soon as you get to the door. And then you go up to the second floor, and up on the second floor is like a big old balcony on top, like a big old deck. But on the first floor is where they have all the material. Thompson boxing material is big. And basically before this pandemic, they have shows at the warehouse. They put pallets of stucco and everything, and that's the dressing rooms.
Yep.
They just cover them up with some tarps. But the dressing rooms are actually pallets of material.
Yeah.
And why were they inside?
Why were they inside? I mean,
From what they said, it's 100 degrees.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
It was hot. It was hot, and I mean the way they fixed them up there was really nice. That setup was really nice. It looked very private, but I mean, you didn't have to see around it. Like Beto said, you turn on the lights, you're gonna see all the material, but just that particular area looked really, really nice. That was a nice setup.
All right, real quick, Coach, do you have your headphones? Maybe if you put them on, we won't get that echo. If you have them around there, because you have your volume up a little bit.
I have everybody around the house looking for them. I'll look for them now. Okay, let me go get them. I think I know where they're at. Hold on.
Hey, what's up to Paul Banky, former champion Paul, checking in right now.
Banky,
Banky's a good dude. Former champion, trained at Duarte Boxing with Coach Valenzuela. Roberto, let's go to you. And I'm going to purposely leave up the shot where Joel's screen is available by himself. It's all quiet. Okay, now, what did you see watching from home? You weren't in the Golden Boy bubble, but watching from home, what did it look like? I haven't seen the broadcast back.
It was good. It was good. I have some ideas that I want to bring up and make it a little different. I would like to bring up just something that occurred to me watching. Rather than having the typical regular chairs for, obviously there's no fans right now, so for the promotion, for Oscar, Eric, for people, Golden Boy, the staff that work, have sofas, lounges, make it more of that feel of a club, private event show. And you're not going to have that many people anyway sitting there. So 2 or 3 sofas with little tables or something, just to give it that atmosphere if you're in a club, and that's why you don't see the masses in the audience and everything. I think that'll give it more of that private show event. But, outside, I was happy with the matches, the fights, outside of one of them that was very quick. I like what I saw. I like what I saw. So a couple of the fighters, Evan Sanchez.
Hold on, Roberto, también. You need your headphones too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
There's a lot of echo?
Yep.
Oh, okay, hold on. I'll get those quicker than Lloyd.
All right, thanks to everybody involved right there. Razo, Salem, it's look, nothing's changed. It's just the two guys don't have their headphones on, so obviously which they're hearing themselves is coming back. See, this didn't happen last week when Razo was on the show. And shout out to Javier Razo, Golden Boy matchmaker, and also golfer extraordinaire who got things done. So we do see all your comments. We're including with them. But once they get back and they have everything going on, we're going to get to the questions, because I realized that the questions are what really drives this show. And thanks so much to everybody. Make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube. Also, if you can't listen on the YouTube, listen to iTunes or Spotify, and that's how we keep going. It's now that these guys are really comfortable with the show, they're like, you know what? Let's just go back. Oh, Eddie, you want me to take a shot? You know what, Eddie? Just because you said so, I'm gonna take a shot. This is a live show, and we take requests. And like I said, I'm not in the garage right now because my mom kicked me out because the cats. The cat had cats. Gato had cats. Gato turned out to be a girl and had cats. So I'm in this little corner room, but I still did bring the Maldita Pobreza shot. And this is California Spirit
Sorry,
Whiskey.
Beto.
No, está bien. I'm taking a shot by myself. Saludos to Eddie Aguilera. Here we go. Leti Ariola.
How's that? Am I better? Audio better there?
Woo!
Woo! Okay, Blair Cobbs.
Okay, maybe that was too good of a shot. Wow.
Here it comes.
So, woo!
No, that wasn't woo. That was ow. Ay. a little cry right here. A little, woo. Yeah, I need to go back to let these 3-gallon tequila.
3-gallon tequila.
What up, big 3 gallons?
The 3-gallon. Well, they're in the garage. I can't go in my. Oh, not even the Beto Vision studios are closed for tonight. I'm in a little room by myself. So the gallon, it's me regañaron y me pegaron, so I had to go outside. So here we go. All right. You guys still hear the echo? All right. You know what? We're gonna keep on going with the show. Here we go.
So you had asked about what I saw, and I mean,
yeah.
Obviously during the fights and everything, I loved what I saw. Virgil looked tremendous. He took care of business like always. He showed patience. He showed, I think the two things that I saw with Virgil, even more than before, a beautiful jab. The jab was punch power. It wasn't just sticking the left hand out to land the 2. It was a 1 that was doing damage. But unlike a lot of the power punches that go in there looking for the knockout and sometimes don't find it because they're heavy-handed, Virgil sets it up. And what I mean by that, he doesn't just throw 1-2. 1 trying to land the big punch. He actually throws 1-2 because he's powerful. He could knock you out with 2, but he follows it up with 3, 4, 5, and 6. And most of the time, if he doesn't get you with 1-2, 5 and 6 is going to get you. So I really like that. I really like what I saw there. We lost the Tanajara Gesta fight. Obviously, we mentioned that before. I think that was going to be a very, very good, even fight. I mean, both had trained very hard. I know Tanajara had done like 2-3 month training camp. Mercito was working really hard every day. So maybe we'll reschedule it down the road. Maybe not. But, to Mercito, hope you're getting better and feeling better, my man. Senicia, there was a lot of talk out there and criticism.
You want to address that right now, Roberto?
What's that?
You want to address the Senicia right now?
Yeah, because it did bother me. I mean, I made the match. Women's pool of boxing is smaller. Right now with the travel ban and the travel restrictions, it's even smaller and more difficult. She had done a camp back since January to fight in March. Pandemic breaks, cancel the show. Now she's on the show. Her original opponent, Jackie Calvo from Mexico, gets injured 2 weeks before. Should I go back to Senicia and say, hey, you've done 2 camps, you've done 2 preparations, but guess what? Your opponent just got injured. You're not fighting? No, I'm not like that. I want to make sure Joel knows from experience with fighters that we work for. I'll try to the last moment to do whatever I can to get a replacement because I know how hard they work, sacrifice, cut weight, do everything to get back in the ring. So I'll turn over whatever I can. And, in this particular case, okay, it was the wrong opponent, but props to Senicia. She looked incredible. She did what she had to do with an opponent that maybe doesn't belong in there with, because it could have gone 8 rounds and boring rounds, and people still would have said, it was a mismatch, whatever. She did what she had to do. Thank God Atkins is okay. I talked to her husband a couple of days ago. She was fine. And most importantly, she's happy because for her, it was a dream come true to be on that stage. Look, on paper, 5-0, 5 knockouts, regardless. The competition was low, but women's boxing is very different. I mean, you don't have that pool. You don't have those massive records. There's a few in the elite level. Those elite, number one, with the travel restriction, wouldn't have been able to come. And 2, nobody's going to take a fight against Senicia with 2 weeks to go. So we were fortunate. We got an opponent. You know what? Now, in essence, should it have been done? I don't know. You never know that until you have them in front. I was telling a couple of reporters during the week we're the kickers in the football NFL. It doesn't matter how many times you get it through that post. It's when you miss that all the attention's on. So it comes with the territory. Look, I apologize basically to myself because I take my job very serious. I apologize to the fans that support boxing and love boxing and felt, okay, that's not what we tune into. But I don't apologize to those that are always complaining and never happy because it doesn't matter what you do. With Evan Sanchez and Hector Valdez, I like what I saw. They were in step up fights, in a 6 and 8 rounder, but step up in competition. They had to work. They went the distance. They got experience, and that's just going to make them better in the future.
Roberto, to follow up on the Senicia part, I know you did interviews around with different media outlets. You said you made the fight, and we all know it's hard enough to be a matchmaker, but when you're doing a fight like this, what is it that you're like, okay, we can put that up against Senicia? I mean, it's hard to find anybody because you don't talk directly with the fighter, right? You talk with their manager.
You talk with the manager or the trainer. In this particular case, it's the husband, manager, and trainer all in one. So when I called to, when I reached out to him and see if she was available, interested, first I looked on paper and look, she's 5-0, 5 knockouts. If she would have caught Senicia rushed her. If she would have caught Senicia and knocked her out, guess what? That part of the story right now, we wouldn't be talking. We'd be talking about matchmaker messed up, put her in too tough. It happens. But when I talked to him, I looked at the record. The only thing that really was a flag was her age. But if the commission, where she's fought already 5 times, hasn't really said, hey, the lack of ability or the talent's not there, you shouldn't be fighting, they should pull. It happens in California all the time. If Andy doesn't see, or the inspectors, Mark or somebody see a fighter with lack of ability, they'll put a check mark in suspension. And then you could come back later. But once you're suspended in California, you're suspended across the country. We didn't see that. In fact, Atkins had a minor title, a WIBA title. So there's an organization, there's a commission that supported that, hey, she could fight. And then there's the husband, manager, trainer that's saying, yeah, we know who Senicia is. We negotiated. They followed all protocols, did all their medicals on time. Everything showed we were dealing with professionals up until the bell rang. And who knows? I don't know, because I know I'm talking to the husband after, and before there was experienced amateur, there was some MMA and kickboxing. She had fought with a broken nose. So here's a fighter that's been in brawls. She had fought with an eye completely shut. Could it have been stage fright that she froze? I don't know. What I do know is there's a little bit of that. I don't know, if it would have been a man, if it would have been Virgil in the main event that knocks out Samuel Vargas in the first round, in the first 7 seconds, 10 seconds, it wouldn't have been looked at. We would have been saying, everybody would have been saying, see, that kid Virgil, he's a beast, he's an animal. We're not used to seeing knockouts, much less of that caliber, or that's how that was in women boxing, much less at 108 pounds. So I think that, along with, again, Atkins barely came out of the corner, almost like she was nervous, right? Yeah. I don't know. But talking to the manager, said, look, we studied Senicia very well. She throws a lot of her punches really open. We were ready to fire down the middle. But we didn't expect her to be that fast and catch her right on the button. So,
and I'll say this, seeing her the day before at the weigh-in and also talking to her in the fighter meetings, she was very cocky too. She was very confident in her ability. We as broadcasters were like, okay, this is going to end early. We didn't expect that. But it wasn't like she was a woman lacking confianza. She was like, I'm here to do this. She's like, I started boxing a few years ago, but I know what I'm doing. Like, she had a confidence about her. And last thing about this, Roberto, is I saw that you said, don't blame the California Commission. Don't blame Andy Foster. Blame me.
Correct.
Why did you take that road when, if the California Commission, who at the end of the one is the one who approves it, you make it, they have to approve it. They approved it. Why did you say, no, it's on me and Golden Boy?
I made the fight. At the end of the day, I made the fight. I submitted it to the commission. Yes, the commission, at the end of the day, can approve it or deny it. But at this point, it was like, no. You know what? Don't be pointing fingers at the commission or this or the zone. I saw people, the zone. It's nothing to do with the zone. I take full responsibility. Again, it comes with the territory. I'm in a position, I work for a company that we do so many fights that it's going to happen. Thank God. Again, I knock on wood, and I'm very happy, and I pray that, you know what, she got up, she walked away, and her dream came true. Her dream came true because they told me after, thank you so much. It was my dream, obviously, to fight on this level, to fight on national TV, to fight somebody like Senicia Estrada. She said, her husband told me, obviously our dream completed would have been to beat Senicia, but at least, you know, she can retire now happily ever after. And she was at work 2 days later.
This comes from Marco Favela. Roberto, when you saw it, what did you feel?
Oh, remember the first two fights had gone the distance. I was happy because, okay, our guys won. No blowouts. If anybody that follows Golden Boy, follows me, knows that we put in our kids tough. We're not afraid. Good example is Beck. I mean, in only 4 or 5 fights, he's already fought guys with probably getting close to like 60 wins total, you know, when you add them all up. Senicia comes in. I'm excited. This is her first fight back. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, holy crap. But the way I saw her fall, the way I saw her come out, I was scared for a second. I was like, parate. Because, I mean, you don't want to see that in general, but our first show back, our first fight after this, during this pandemic, post-pandemic, that's not what, obviously, you're pushing. But again, I remind everybody, that wasn't her original opponent. Her original opponent, Jackie Calvo, was, you know, much more experienced, tough opponent. It is what I had to work with in the moment and with the short notice.
Those are the things, Roberto.
Look, if you're gonna make it, you gotta take ownership. And like I said, this isn't an avenue for you to like go and praise and be a Golden Boy mouthpiece. But it's at the end of the day, I saw that interview you did, and you're like, and my own curiosity is, if the commission is saying it's our fault, you're saying no, it's not. Like, and that's why we want to give you the opportunity to speak about this. All right, moving forward.
Thank you.
Good card. Virgil Ortiz looked excellent in that card, and being in that building. The punches that not LeBron. Marco's typing about LeBron. Forget LeBron. The punches. You know what? That whiskey. Está bueno. Saludos, coach. The punches that Virgil was throwing against Vargas sounded different because there's no crowd. And coach, you trained Virgil the first couple fights. Actually, today's the anniversary of his 4 years ago. He made his debut. When you have a young Virgil Ortiz, coach, and he's in the gym, what's that like? What's that sound? The attitude that he has.
Virgil's very special since I met him. When I met him, I think he was 16 years old. And I could tell a fighter from the rest because Virgil is he's a tough task to be with and to be against. If you're with him, I mean, he's one of those kids that he's been taught as a kid by his father to train all the time. I mean, and always push himself to the extremes. So he's one of those kids that doesn't complain. He trains really hard. I mean, he could go 10, 12 rounds in the gym, sparring. And if he has to go another 5, 6, he'll do it. I mean, his punching power is devastating. He's very smart. He reads you. He is a kid that has every angle in the sport dialed in because he doesn't only practice the sport, he studies the sport. And that's why when you get in the ring with Virgil, if you make a mistake, he's going to make you pay for it right away. And that's the problem. That's the thing with Virgil. Virgil is one of those kids that, you know, in the early rounds, he measures you, he sees what you got, he'll come to the corner, and if you tell him, he'll tell you, I already saw this. I already saw where I'm going to go next. And, you know, and that's how it is. That's why that night against Samuel Vargas, you can see his dominance from the beginning. I mean, Samuel Vargas is very tough, a veteran in the sport, and I mean, took punches, but Virgil was chopping them down slowly. Samuel Vargas is a veteran of the sport that sooner or later he was going to wear out due to the fact of the punishment that Virgil was putting in, and he did. I mean, I'm telling you, Virgil and I were together for 9 fights in his professional career. His first 9 fights, we worked with him, and he was very devastating. I mean, you know, one of the main concerns about Virgil is protecting his hands, not his face, his hands, because Virgil is very accurate with those punches when he lands, and he lands them at the right time in the right spot. And you know, he's got a great career, he's got a great future, and I just think that Virgil Ortiz is going to be one of those kids that's going to give a lot of people a lot to talk about.
Yeah, afterwards, when Todd Grisham was interviewing Virgil, I'm listening, and it's like, he's like, you know what? I might not be ready for some of these big, you know, Danny Garcia, Earl Spence, but I'm going to give him a fight. And, like, normally a fighter's like, I'll beat you, I'll do this. The realizing where he's at in his career right now, Roberto, I love it. A breath of fresh air where he's like, yeah, I might not win, but give him to me. He doesn't want the guys that you haven't heard of. You as a matchmaker, how do you handle that?
Oh, absolutely. It's music to my ears. I mean, when there's fighters like Virgil that are very special, you want to hear that confidence. You want to hear, it's not cockiness. It's not to be confused with arrogance. It's what it is confidence, but also I want to challenge myself, because in order to be remembered, in order to go down as one of the best, I have to go in there and beat the best. And if I don't beat him, that's okay. I mean, he's not saying that basically it's okay, but what he's saying is, I know I tried.
Yeah.
And I know they're going to go through fire.
Yep.
And I know that I'm still young enough that I'm going to learn from this. But at this particular time, sometimes it's the team around that have to say, okay, not yet here, not yet there, but little by little, little by little. And as he matures, as he's getting more of his man strength,
Yeah.
and more experience in the rounds, I just can't imagine. You know, we see Canelo getting better in every fight still. I think you're going to see Virgil. Not I think. I know you're going to see Virgil getting better in every fight, even as he steps up in opposition. Because as he's getting more experience and learning his craft and training in the gym and maturing physically, I mean, sky's the limit. I think in 1 year's time, nobody's stopping Virgil in that division.
He's only 22 years old.
Yeah.
He's 22.
He's only 22 years old. He's only getting better. He still has a lot of slack in between to learn. I mean, I think a fighter, by the time, I mean, depending on how you take care of yourself, and as you see Virgil, he hasn't been taking much punishment to his body, you know? I mean, he's taking toll in his hands, but on his body, he's smart, he slips, he hardly gets hit, and he counters, and he's very explosive. I mean, I think Virgil still has another 6 good years of still learning and getting better.
Wow, that's very, very interesting. All right, so if you guys have questions, get it going. We're gonna go to your questions early tonight because this whiskey's kicking in. I don't know how much more I'm gonna start babbling or bumbling. I'm just gonna start babbling, whatever. Once again, thanks to everybody. No problem for that's checking in. iTunes, Spotify, YouTube every Thursday. ThursDIAZ. We did it on location last week with Razo. I'm not gonna say Razo got nervous. I'm not going to say Razo was working at the same time. And hopefully Razo's still watching because that's the only reason I'm saying that. But no, Razo is a fan favorite. He brings his people. He does a good job. Coach, what I wanted to ask you this leads to today's theme. Last week, we were in a warehouse surrounded by stucco. Mm-hmm. Roberto, same question to you. What's the weirdest place you've worked a fight?
Oof. What's the weirdest place I've worked a fight? I was I don't know if that was weird, but it's more common in Tijuana at one of the clubs at Revolucion. Ivan Morales fought, I believe, on the card. That wouldn't be weird, I mean, because it's common, but it's a club, really, really tight space. A gym, an old basketball gym in Los Mochis. I remember a situation where the local promoter had a fight, and it was heavyweights, and they only had one pair of 10-ounce gloves, and the promoter says, well, give the smallest guy the 8-ounce and give the biggest guy the 10-ounce. And I said, whoa, hey, ni madre, that's not happening here. He goes, no pasa nada. No. Golden Boy's name's behind this. If something happens, no. If you don't get both of them 10-ounce gloves, there's no fight. So they were all mad at me because obviously that was their event. That part, we had the TV fights, but a gymnasium, a beautiful setting with Pepe Gomez in Playa Mamitas. We were in the beach, right on the sand, overseeing the ocean. That was amazing. It wouldn't stop raining. It hadn't rained prior. It didn't rain after. But that moment of the show to start, it started raining, and I couldn't believe it. It was like, what are we going to do? We started late, but the show went on, and it was a great event. Amazing background, to see the ocean. But I can't think of something like really out of this world.
This young man, he's a young fan of yours. Marco Palayo says, the Quinceañera Hall in Monterrey, Canelo Promotions.
Oh, I wasn't there. So Marco must have done that one.
There's a fight después de una quinceañera. It's interesting because I was at the Thompson show, and afterwards when they turned the lights on, we were on top, and when the lights went on, you just saw pallets and pallets and pallets. And the best part is Jimmy Lennon Jr., Hall of Famer, the classy one, comes in, and he said my name, so I'm surprised Jimmy Lennon knows my name. I'm like, Beto, how are you doing? I'm like, Jimmy, you've worked all of Mexico. He's like, this is nothing compared to the things I've seen in my career. And I'm like, that's what brought up the idea of where have you been. Doug Fisher said he's worked a fight at a bull ring in Aguascalientes on an old Top Rank show where the fighters were literally changing in where the bulls are setting up. So it's just all kinds of stuff. Coach, for you?
Well, I'll never forget. I mean, I've worked fights in some of the craziest places you could imagine. But I'll never forget this one where I used to bring some fighters from Mexicali to help some of my fighters sparring, right? In Mexicali, there were some fighters that at time they were known. I remember one of them was a world champion. His name was Ruben Sanchez Leon, and his brother was Gilberto Sanchez Leon, Julio Sanchez Leon. Okay, well, those guys were very good people, man. Very good people. They came around. They would help me spar with my brothers, Antonio, Julio, and as a matter of fact, I think Gilberto Sanchez Leon fought a lot of the fighters that They fought Virgil Ortiz, Josecito Lopez. They fought everybody, right? So then they started their own promotion, all right? And there was a kid, Southern California, who would sell the most expensive tickets of a fight, but he couldn't fight. I mean, he couldn't fight, but he thought he was like big, And he was training in my gym, for a while, and then he left. And he was training, I guess, at Wild Card. But we trained him for a while, and he wanted to turn pro, and I told him, no, I'm gonna take you to a spot where you're gonna get hurt. You're not ready. This is not for you. So one day, he comes to the gym, and I'm in the office, and he's telling everybody, that he was sparring Andy Ruiz, and he was sparring Manny Pacquiao, and I said, wow. So then,
wait, Ruiz and Pacquiao?
Yeah, and he says, hey, this guy over here saying that he was sparring Manny Pacquiao and Andy Ruiz. And I said, don't believe that guy. He's not out there. And he heard when I said that. He was by the door. So he goes, you know what? You always doubted me, but I changed. I'm a better fighter. I was sparring Pacquiao, and I was putting hands on Pacquiao. I was sparring Andy Ruiz. And I said, look, I'm going to tell you something. I'm old. I got one eye. I'm retired. I retired a long time ago. And you won't even last around with me. And he goes, let's do it. Okay. Tonyo, put the gloves on me. We get in the ring. And I go, and please don't hold back because I'm not holding back. So we get in there. We start, sparring. He's moving around. He's throwing punches. Long story short, before the round ended, I caught him with a liver shot, and he got on his knees. And I go, come on, dude. And you're telling me that you're sparring Andy Ruiz and Manny Pacquiao. So I pushed him off to the side on the canvas because I caught him with a good left liver shot. He went down. I go to the office with the gloves on. I'm mad. I go, this guy's just talking, right? So then he comes to the office. He goes, why did you get off? I'm not done yet. Hey, Roberto. So that guy, he will go to like big businesses. and he will say that he was a world champion, and they will buy ringside tickets. If, let's say, for example, if Golden Boy brings the show to Indio, and you have 500 ringside seats, he'll sell them himself, because he's one of those guys. Well, he was, not anymore. He was one of the guys that he would like go to a business and say he's a boxer, he's fighting, and he will sell every ringside ticket you had. So that day, I go to Mexicali. The Sanchez Leon brothers tell me, "Hey, Joel, do me a favor, man." He says, "I'm gonna fight." It was Julio Sanchez Leon. He says, "I'm gonna fight. Help me out. Can you be in my corner?" I go, "Julio, if I go to Mexicali, dude, I'll do it for you because you're a good friend of mine. I mean, me compras unos pinches camarones, unas cervezas, y ahí te voy." No, sí, vete. I drive to Mexicali, and as I get there, they do this event, Roberto. It's some sort of a building, like it's like a round building, like a tipo hacienda, right? It's all tile, only one entrance and one exit, and then it's like a balcony, and the ring is in the middle, and it's like everything's balcony in the front. But the dressing rooms are bathrooms, so you go like underground to the bathrooms, and I got my bag, and I got all kinds of stuff, right? I got my hand wrap stand, todo. But I'm very skeptical about the things that were happening in the dressing room. I mean, everybody's in the same dressing room, even though you're fighting with each other. So then I tell Julio Sanchez, "Hey, Julio, ¿no tienes un vestidor para ti solo?" "No, coach, aquí nomás." Okay, so when it was time for his fight, I go, "Julio, okay, ahorita que nos vayamos, ¿qué onda? ¿Dejo mis cosas aquí?" "Sí, coach, aquí déjalas, está bien." I go, "No tengo confianza, Julio." "No, coach, aquí déjalas." So we go to the fight. He fights Roberto. After the fight, we come back. My stuff is not there. All my bag, all my stuff is gone.
No.
So I'm like, oh man. So I go, "Hey, Julio, where's my stuff?" They stole it by then because it was the main event. Everybody was out of the dressing room. So when I come back from the fight, I come back to the dressing room and my bag is not there. My hand stand, my hand wrap stand, nothing's there. And then he gets really mad. He starts cussing. He goes, "Oh, hell no." So he goes outside and he tells on the microphone, "De aquí, de este pinche lugar, nadie sale, nadie entra hasta que aparezcan estas cosas." Like that. So everybody stands up and you could see the movement on everybody, right? So he goes, "De aquí, nadie sale, cierran la puerta, nadie sale, nadie entra hasta que aparezca," like that. So everybody's like, "Oh shit," you know? Roberto, not even 5 minutes later, my bag was sitting on a chair.
No.
Hey, but everybody started pushing it like with their foot so they wouldn't see who grabbed it.
Hey, not even 5 minutes later, my bag was on a chair and nobody around it. Yeah, like, oh, I don't know. I mean, it was in the dressing room, Roberto. And nobody, like, okay, got it. Hey, ahí te miro. Hey, coach, disculpe, but
wow.
Like I told you, there was one entrance. There was no two entrances. There was one entrance and one exit. Yeah. So nobody would leave. As soon as I told them my bag was out, he got the microphone and said, lock the doors. Nobody comes in, nobody goes out. Pero, this place on lockdown until that bag appears.
Eric P. quiere saber, ¿y los camarones?
Oh, los camarones fue after the fight. When we left, hey, fuimos a Los Arcos y no había camarones.
So I got a funny one, real quick, real funny one, that I don't know if Joel heard the story. I was at the fights, but I didn't have a fighter. I was attending to a fighter that still wasn't signed. I was out there basically taking care of him because he was going to sign with us. Joel had a fighter that didn't end up fighting. But when they went to set up the ring in the venue, the ring was too high. It was too high. So they said, hey, we got to dig. So bring in one of those bulldozers or caterpillars or something to dig so you can set the ring down and it can be lower.
Where's
but
it?
It was a bull ring. In Cancun, it was a bull ring.
Oh.
And when they dug some dirt to make the hole to drop the ring, what did they find in the ring center? Puros cadáveres de toros.
No!
Buried there. Buried there. So they start cleaning up the old cadavers and everything. And then they set the ring and fixed it. Now you had Timothy Bradley, who was going to fight Jose Luis Castillo, but Castillo didn't make weight. He passed out. The fight got called off. That place was crazy that night. It was Pepe Gomez, Cancun Boxing. There was chairs on top of chairs on top of chairs. Everybody was tight. I was out there looking out for Juan Baby Bull Diaz, who lost the title that night to Nate Campbell. It was a Don King, Pepe Gomez event, but that was crazy.
Wait. Don King and Pepe Gomez in the same place?
Don King and Pepe Gomez, the night of the heavyweights, I think it was.
For those of you who don't know, just go to Pepe Gomez on Instagram. La de hoy, woo, Monkey Gym Beach. Just
Roberto,
you're welcome.
I had a fight one time in Michoacán, right? In Apatzingan, Michoacán.
And where?
In Apatzingan, Michoacán.
Slower.
Apatzingan, Michoacán.
Apachingar, okay.
So I go to Michoacán. They pick me up at the airport. And here we go to the hotel, right? We're at the hotel, ready to go to the fight. All of a sudden, people are like, hey, va a caer una tormenta. Really? You remember a fighter by the name of René Arredondo?
Of course, yeah. He was from Michoacán. From Apatzingan.
As a matter of fact, el Palenque, it was called Palenque Arredondo, el Palenque Hermanos Arredondo.
Sí, porque su hermano, creo, Ricardo, had been a world champion, and then René was much younger, later became a world champion.
Yeah. So, en Apatzingán, Michoacán, hay un palenque que se llama el Palenque Hermanos Arredondo, right? Right now that you're talking about, you had to dig. So, el palenque, Roberto, llegabas al palenque de los Hermanos Arredondo. I mean, you see the floor, you see the street, and then you see a building. But as you get to the building, you start going down, Roberto. Like, you know, you got the stairs going down. Y está el palenque. So the ring was right in the center where they make the, you know, obviously the gallos, you know. So we're at the hotel and they're like, hey, va a caer una tormenta hoy. Really? Yeah, se espera una tormenta. I'm like, hey, we have a fight. No, pero va a ser del palenque. Ah, está tapado. Okay, perfecto. Roberto, I'm not going to lie to you. When we get to the palenque, they took us in a truck because the streets were like rivers.
Oh my God.
En México cuando llueve, Roberto. En México no anda con fregaderas allá.
Wow.
Hay una tormenta donde por las calles parecían ríos. So, el agua se mete al palenque, Roberto.
Oh my God.
Cuando llegamos al palenque a las peleas, I swear, you know the ring is 4 foot. The chairs that were around the ring were floating. The water was up to the level of the ring.
No way. And they didn't cancel the show?
Of course, Roberto, there were no fights.
Oh, they canceled everything.
That was before the fights. I mean, people were already in the stands waiting for the fights, and the water's coming down to the palenque. I'm telling you, I couldn't believe the fact that the water was up to the level of the ring, 4 feet.
Wow.
That's how high the water was.
It's probably in a dip, so all the water from the streets is coming down to this dip.
The water just went down and filled up all the way to the top. The ring was underwater.
But that's funny that the people from the town knew, hey, va a caer una tormenta, pero nada más en el palenque. They already knew what was going to happen.
Oh, good thing Jeremiah wasn't working. Oh,
So you're bad.
Like I told you, ya valió. I'm already getting.
Hey, you can see the ring though.
Oh, he would have been saved me.
Hey, he'll be underwater, but he'll save the ring.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Roberto, that day of the fights, the Golden Boy fights, Jeremiah had gloves.
But yeah, I saw that with a ring over.
You know, and here's the thing, though. The reason I bring that up is because Jeremiah Gallegos, who is the ring announcer for Golden Boy, does a great job. He is a super nice kid out of Houston, Texas. Really talented, does voiceovers. But I saw that coach, too, because the commission said, put your gloves on. So he put his gloves on, but he was part of the Astros. He was a PA announcer when the Astros won the World Series. So he got a ring. So that's why, but he had the blue gloves on and pinche anillo on top of it. Like, and then he's working with Golden Boy, who everybody's a Dodger fan. Y adrede, hey, how you doing? Like with his deep old voice. And he's just...
Well, that's right. That's the cheater team.
Yeah.
Yeah. there was a fight at Fantasy Springs, and they put him at the Holiday Inn. And after the weigh-ins, he decided to walk from the weigh-ins to the Holiday Inn. It's quite a walk.
What?
As I'm leaving myself, I see him. I pull over. Hey, you want to ride? Sure, coach. He gets in my truck. You know my truck is pretty high.
The blue one?
But that's why coach did it on purpose.
No, I did it. I didn't do it on purpose because I saw him. He had dress shoes. He was, he's always well dressed.
Oh,
but
he's smooth.
I mean, it was quite a distance, and from the bowling alley to the Holiday Inn is quite far. So I saw him and hey, you want to ride? Yeah. And I'm riding my truck. So,
but Jeremiah's a good kid. He's like 5'4", 5'5", but he's super nice, super talented, works really hard, and is always sharp. And he actually told me last week that he watched the show and he caught up on him and that he really likes it. So Jeremiah, if we make fun of you, it's because we love you, man. You're great at what you do. He actually, not too long ago, he had a mild heart attack and had was it Bell's palsy or Bell's palsy?
Bell's palsy.
Bell's palsy, where your face, and he came back and he is so good, but he still wears chapa rings. Anyways, all right, let's move on.
He thanked me. After that, he goes, hey, coach, thanks for the ride, man. I needed it because my shoes and I had to walk,
And then with that heat.
Real quick, Eddie Aguilera, we'll get this one because I know Eddie's going to start drinking. He's going to pass out. Roberto Diaz, Jorge Linares, upcoming fight. How tough is that? What's the plan for him?
It is a very tough fight. Obviously, it's for an Diamond World title. I mean, right now, the lightweight division's hot. I read today that there's some trouble there with Teofimo and Loma, but if that fight happens, it's one of the best fights in the division. Then you have Jorge Linares fighting Fortuna, two former world champions facing off each other. The winner goes on to bigger and better things. The loser is in a spot that's like you really got to think the end is near. Then you got Ryan and Luke Campbell, which we're working on to get it done. But you're going to get a lot of these fighters facing each other. The intent right now, how it's worked, is the winner of Ryan Garcia and Luke Campbell become the mandatory to Devin Haney. That's a great fight. The winner there fights the winner of Linares and Fortuna. That's a great fight. Linares has made it clear, I want to fight Lomachenko again. I want to fight Ryan Garcia. Ryan has said, I want to fight Luke Campbell. I want to fight Jorge Linares. So I think we're going to see a combination of some of these fights happening. And hopefully sooner than later.
There you go. So there's your answer, Eddie Aguilera, who is now going to make shorts for everybody for free if you guys want them right now. And also shout out to Rogelio Chapa, inspector with California State Athletic Commission, and also in San Diego, watching us for the first time. I tagged him on Instagram. Yeah, Roberto, what are you drinking? That's that fancy glass. Wait, hold up.
Mezcalito.
Oh, you're drinking the mezcal. How come? Ese es de los hombres. Forget that. I'm learning.
Roberto, for the Oscar Duarte fight in Chihuahua, I fly to Mexico City, like you, Beto. So I'm at the airport. My flight's delayed for 2 hours. I'm hungry. So I go to this restaurant, and the guy comes, Jefe, le ofrezco algo de comer. Tráeme la carta. And I look at the carta, and he goes, le ofrezco algo de tomar. And he goes, un mezcalito. I go, that's one of the first times. I'm not really a mezcal drinker because I have a lot of respect for mezcal.
Yeah, I'm scared of it.
Just mezcal turns another switch on me. I'm telling you, I've had it before, and it's very different. I have a lot of respect for mezcal. And so as I'm right there, he goes, una rachera, jefe. Okay, dame una rachera. Un mezcalito. I go, okay. Y luego, ¿cuál prefiere? I go, wow, I'm not a mezcal drinker. He goes, ¿de cuál tienes? Dame. So he goes, okay. So he goes, tengo de este, el otro. I go, dame el mejorcito que tengas. Okay. And remember, I was at the airport for about 3-4 hours. Oh. So I went and I cashed $100. I cashed $100 just to have money, huh? So all of a sudden, when I get the check, Roberto, I go, what? So then I look at the shot of mezcal, Roberto, me costó como $47.
Cada shot.
It was just one.
Oh, okay.
It was just one shot of mezcal for $60. I mean, $47.
They thought you were Joel Jr. porque su papá está rico.
I guess.
Hey, but the mezcal, the thing is, with a good mezcal, what I like about it versus a tequila is I have to drink the tequila cold. I have to put it in the freezer, drink it cold, so I don't get the smell. With the mezcal, the smell is smoky, very, very smoky, and then the taste is smoky. So that's one of the reasons I like mezcal. Look, I'm eating it with oranges and the salicita was so it hits the spot. But I mean,
Chapa, the inspector says, my grandmother, who was 96, would have a shot of mezcal every morning.
Every morning. Yeah. See, I have it at night to go to sleep. I had it in the morning to get up and go.
Yeah, when they brought me that shot of mezcal, Roberto, me lo trajeron en una copa como de esa de champagne, right?
Yeah.
Y te traen un platito con naranjas, con rebanadas, así como tú, y con su salecita, obviamente, ¿no? I mean, la gente que toma tequila con su limoncito acá, ¿no?
Claro, es diferente.
Yeah,
pero el smoky, con el sweet de la naranja, o sea, ese es el clash. Es como, pues, el puro con el scotch, o sea, ahí el cruce del sabor.
Yeah. ThursDIAZ is the official show of drinking, so if you guys have any drinking questions, we got it for you too. It's for the fancy drinkers. None of this like Coors Light or Corona. No Corona. Aquí puro fino.
No coronavirus.
No coronavirus for anybody. And also, Rogelio, by the way, if you guys need an immigration lawyer, he will take care of you. He's in San Diego. He works for the California Athletic Commission, but he's also an immigration lawyer. Esquire Rogelio Chapa. So we'll take care of him. And he also has a little Frenchie. Anyways, all right. Coach.
Actually, Rogelio, I ran into Rogelio at a Thompson event, okay? And it was Antonio and me. And then Antonio, Antonio's bien metiche. Oh man, Antonio, I mean, on behalf of all the Diaz family, we are sorry for him. Antonio, we're in the dressing room, and Rogelio Chapa is an inspector, okay? So he's coming around and checking here and there. And then Antonio grabs his clipboard, and then he comes to me and he goes, "Hey, Joel, you know this guy he's an immigration attorney." I go, "Really? Yeah, he can help us for citizenship." I go, "Well, yeah." So Antonio takes a picture of his card because he has his card on his clipboard. So I call Rogelio. So Rogelio has been helping me right now with my citizenship.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, as of right now, I mean. We've been on a process, him and I and my wife, because he's the person right now that's helping me with my citizenship.
Yeah, that's cool.
Rogelio Chapa.
Saludos. Joel, anything I can help, letters or anything, tell Rogelio to call me. And of course, recommendation as a former San Diego County probation officer, as Golden Boy, whatever I can do.
Throwing the resume out today.
More to help anything at all.
Well, just because of that, I'm going to run for council in Carson. Go vote Duran. He's the man with the plan. All right, here we go. As you guys saw, I took headshots the other day. Now, Toño says, stop bullying me. Okay, well, all right. Toño, thanks for joining us an hour and 15 minutes later.
Yeah, he's late.
Okay, here we go. Coach, I just got reminded of this right now. You said on a story earlier that you told the guy, I'm old and I got one eye.
Yeah.
And I'm still going to kick your ass, Leo.
And I'm still going to kick you. I did. The guy was 7-0 with 7 knockouts. Antonio knows. And I told him, I told you the story, Roberto. Every time, I was always active. After I retired, I retired due to a retinal detachment on my eye. Yeah. I lost my eye. I can't see out of my right eye. So people come to the gym and they're like, hey, can we spar? And like, there's nobody here. I'll spar you. And they're like, you serious? You won't have a heart attack? Well, let's try it. And once we get in the ring and I start, dominating them and hurting them, I'm telling you, there was a guy that one time brought his family and he said he wanted to spar me. And as I'm sparring him, his family are telling him, pégale por el lado malo, like on the bad side. Like, and this guy gets so frustrated, he goes, este no tiene lado malo because I'm beating him up, right? So So that's what happened with that kid. That kid was 7-0, 7 knockouts, and he comes around and says that he's been sparring Andy Reese, he's been sparring Manny Pacquiao, and he's putting hands on him. And I'm like, because I know him, and I say, you know what? Ignore him. That kid is not all there. And then he goes, you never believed me. You never believed in me. I'm a different man. I'm a changed person. I've been sparring with the best. And I said, look, just be quiet, man. I go, look, I'm old. I got one eye. I retired like 15 years ago, and I'll kick your ass. And he goes, let's go.
That's the new shirt right there. Hector, get the shirt. I'm old. I got one eye, and I'll kick your ass too. Like,
hey, Hector, saludos.
Hector. Now, Coach, last week we were in Corona under the Thompson quarantine. I was talking with you, and you said, Beto, for ThursDIAZ, I got a great story that Roberto knows about this. We were talking about Dominic Salcido. We talked about it before, and I'm looking at my notes right now. Okay, and I don't remember, because I was drinking last Saturday, so I don't remember what I wrote, but all I have in my notes say, do me quinceañera rehearsal. What does this mean?
Well, the thing is with Dominic Salcido.
Roberto, you know what I'm talking about?
I remember.
Look, Dominic Salcido, he has an important fight. Okay, he has an important fight. So we go to the weigh-ins, and after the weigh-ins, he disappears on me, and I'm looking for him because what trainers do, every trainer has a responsibility. The responsibility of a trainer is to make sure your fighter is resting, is focused, and not going out of his way, right? So we are at Ontario at the DoubleTree. After the weigh-ins, Dominic Salcido disappears, so he's with his girlfriend. So I'm looking for him because he ate lunch after weigh-ins, so we're gonna go to dinner together. So as I'm calling him, he's not answering. So I'm looking for him, so he finally answers. So he tells me he's not in a hotel. He's at a rehearsal for a wedding. And I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Oh, man.
So he fights tomorrow.
Yeah, or quinceañera. So then I said, you're not supposed to do this, man. I mean, you're here for a fight. You're not here. You're distracted. Your mind not in one thing. It's in different ways. And that's the time he fought Elisier Julio, Roberto. Elisier Julio was a guy that was fighting at 108, 112, 115, 118, 22, and he fought Dominic Salcido at 135. So then I'm really mad because he's at a rehearsal. So when he comes back, I meet with him. Like, hey, you don't do this, man.
Wait, real quick, Coach, before you get there. Salcido's in his 20s, maybe at this time?
20 plus, maybe 25.
Yeah.
And he's at a quinceañera practice? He's at
a rehearsal. I don't know if it was quinceañera or a wedding rehearsal, but he was at a rehearsal.
Okay, he was gone.
He was gone.
So then he should know better.
He should know better. So the next morning, and this is what happened. I'm like, I wake up in the morning and I said, okay, I'm gonna go wake him up. We're gonna go breakfast. So I go knock on his door, and his girlfriend opens the door, not him, from his room.
Whoa, she's in his room?
Yeah. So I'm like, where's Dominic? Oh, hey, coach, yo, it's not what you think. Okay, it's not what I think. So let's go to breakfast. So we go to breakfast. Hey, you know what? You're not doing things proper, dude. This is not how things go. Oh, coach, I got this. Okay. We go to breakfast and I tell him, hey, please, let's focus on this fight. It's very important for you. It's 4 o'clock. We're supposed to be in the dressing room at 6. He calls me to his room. He goes, hey, coach, can you come to my room? I want to talk to you about the fight plan. And I said, wait. I'm the coach here. Yeah, coach, but I want to talk to you. So I go to his room and he tells me, hey, coach, since I'm from here, all my people are going to be here. I want you to just let me do my thing. Let you do your thing. What do you mean? Yeah, for the first 4 rounds, I'm going to move around. I'm going to, do my thing, for my people, right? I said, Dominic, I'm not here. I don't think I don't think you're going to go 4 rounds with this guy. I'm not expecting for you to go 4 rounds with that guy. That guy's a small guy. Come on, coach. Yeah, let me. And he was talking like, yo, coach, let me get in there and do my thing. And, after 4 rounds, I'm going to take him to deep water and I'm going to knock him out. I said, no, I'm not expecting for you to go 4 rounds with this guy. I even feel embarrassed to walk in the ring with you for that guy. So, long story short, we get in the ring. He starts boxing. First round, Raul Caiz Sr. comes to the corner in the first round and says, hey, Joel, please tell him to fight. He's dancing around the ring. Second round, everybody's booing him. Ken Thompson comes to the corner and tells me, please, can you tell him to fight? I am. Third round, everybody's booing him, and people are yelling, this is not Dancing with the Stars. Okay, going into the fourth round, he switches southpaw, and he's standing southpaw, and he's just playing, touching the guy, moving. He's very defensive. He wasn't getting hit, but he was clowning. Going into the fifth round, Beto, he's southpaw, and I still remember because he starts punching his own gloves, and he's like, okay, I'm ready to go. So he's standing southpaw, and as soon as he goes like this, and he switches to right-hander, Julio just closes his eyes. And I guess, I don't know if he closed his eyes and said, I'm just going to go for it. He did. He just swung. He closed his eyes and swung an overhand right and caught him.
A money punch.
Yeah. And Salcido lands on his back. His eyes went like slot machines. Like this. He ended up
out.
He ended up at the hospital in Colton, and Ontario regional.
Wow.
Yep. And I said, wow. So I go to the hospital with the family, and then everybody's talking about what happened. He had just came back. He was helping Juan Diaz sparring, and he was in great shape. I mean, he had a great camp, but. I mean, Dominic Salcido was a great, talented fighter, very skillful. He had power, skillful and power. But he was so confident that he was already at the top when he wasn't even halfway.
Yeah. There was dolls, there was after-party cards, there was... Yeah, for the Vicente Escobedo, there was 2 fights before. And see, that's one thing that you would have thought he learned from the Escobedo loss, and he would have taken it a little bit more serious. He had 1 win after that, and then the next fight was the Julio fight.
Yeah.
And he had beaten better opposition than Julio. But his mind was elsewhere. You know, the strategy, I want to do my thing.
The
rehearsal. And he actually went on later to fight Eloy Perez and Omar Figueroa. And then... and gave them good fights. Gave them went the distance with both and gave them good fights. But Dominic's prime was right there during that Escobedo time, during that time. He had tremendous feet movement and footwork and stuff.
On my notes that Coach you told me, remember I was drinking a lot of wine last week. It says bobblehead. What does that mean? Why are you laughing?
I have a bobblehead over there.
No, what does it mean?
So,
because he made bobbleheads.
No!
Bobblehead. He had different haircuts, similar, I mean, not like Baromero, but I remember for that fight, or a couple fights before, the checkered flag was real popular. Thompson, he was promoted by Thompson, the checkered flag, they have it as a logo. He had like little checkers, the checkered flag type,
like a race
different
flag.
colors. Yeah, in the hair. And prior to the Vicente Escobedo fight, they made bobbleheads,
But that was before bobbleheads were really popular, right?
That was before bobbleheads were popular. I mean, you would see only like big name athletes, with a bobblehead here and there, and they were going to sell them. And I think at the Thompson shows they put out a little table and they were selling bobbleheads. And I remember when the Vicente Escobedo fight happened, it was funny because there was some frustrations going back and forth. Dominic was getting media every day. There was an interview with Dominic there. But Vicente was the Golden Boy fighter. I had just started at Golden Boy. I made the fight, but I had hired Rachel Charles, was his publicist, and I said, hey, okay, go do your thing, Rachel. Rachel was very, very good to this day. One of the best out there. And every day she had interviews lined up for Dominic.
Dominic, yeah.
I remember Vicente even calling the office or the brother and telling the PR department, hey, who's the Golden Boy fighter here? Him or me? Why is it every day there's print? When he got knocked out, All I remember was the brother coming over to me and said, "Hey, just like your bobblehead."
Go get me Andy Reid.
It wasn't my bobblehead. It was the kid's bobblehead. But he said, "Look, look." Hey, it's a pretty badass bobblehead. He has his gloves.
That's
gloves,
good.
todo. And this was at least 15 years old, if not
No
more.
way.
Look, la barbita and everything.
Wait, that's what the kid had?
Yep. Look at the fire on the hair. He had fire on his hair, flames.
Oh, he does.
And the checkers and everything. So when he got knocked out by Vicente, there's a part where he gets hit with a major left hook, and his head goes like this. Candy Ruiz.
And he lost weight. All right.
Oh my God.
See? Hey, we got it all.
But I remember his brother, Vicente's brother, coming over to me and said, "Hey, Dominic did the bobblehead because, you know, obviously he got hit with the left hook and he went out, and it was just like at the moment."
Said that? Wow.
Yeah.
He was ahead of his time. The kid was ahead of his time.
He had his own rap. Remember? Salcido.
Yeah.
He had his, dude, if that kid would have been around during social media, he would have Trump ran.
Oh, yeah. Look, I'm going to tell you one thing. When he lost to Vicente Escobedo, that night, walking into the ring, people booed him. Bad. Like, people insulted him because he made all of us wear checkered quarter jackets.
Yeah.
And his head was red with black, checkered,
Wait,
right haircut.
You were wearing that?
I was wearing a checkered quarter jacket, like red and black. And his hair, he would do red and then black, like he would shave squares or black. But people would criticize him going in the ring. But like by the third, fourth round, people loved him. Like, wow, you know, this kid. If this kid would have won that fight that night, he would have been like a Dennis Rodman of the boxing.
Oh.
There was already a contract waiting for him to sign with Golden Boy, obviously, if he would have won. And he was winning. He was winning the fight.
What years were this?
Dominic and Vicente, I'll tell you right now, was 2008.
So, Twitter started 2009, Instagram 2011. Yeah, he was ahead of his time.
I think it was MySpace. Era.
He might have been, yeah.
Yeah.
He might have been. Yeah, Coach, I remember last week you told me, all right, hey, Beth, I'm going to tell you about these guys. Just write down on your notes. So I'm looking at my notes right now. I'm like, 'cause the wine was good. I don't know what I was drinking last week. And but it was, so, oh, man. You have a bobblehead of this guy. The characters you run into.
Hey, he has one of Pepe Gomez. I guarantee you he has one of Pepe Gomez por ahí.
Oh.
I might. So that's it. Is there any more bobbleheads over there?
La Calaca, he probably has La Calaca.
La Calaca's good. All right, so here we go. It's 9:28. If you guys have an hour and a half, if you guys want, ask your questions right now. We'll get to you. I've been drinking. Joel Diaz Jr. says, I have one of those bobbleheads in my room. Joel, I saw a picture of him, Jr., who did a great job at the Golden Boy show. He's all grown up as a mature young man, working with the commission, all kinds of stuff good for Golden Boy. But I saw a picture of him at the Thompson show when he was 6 years old. Jeanette Gonzalez posted a picture of him. It really is something that when you're around this business, you're around long enough, you're going to see some things long enough. Where the kid who's 6 years old carrying the spit bucket is now the one administering COVID test. It changes. You know, Bobby Diaz, who was in charge of the Golden Boy social media accounts last week, did a great job with it. It's the evolution of what you're going on, and as we keep going. The Green Knight Bandit says, for both of you, what is your favorite all-time boxing movie?
For me, honestly, the movie, it wasn't more of a movie. I watch movies, and I know some of movies are based on true stories, but to me, honestly, the movie, it was more of a documentary. The Louis Resto documentary, to me, because it was a true story, and the way it happened, it's something that really caught my eye. Louis Resto, the Alexis Arguello, the Panama Lewis. I'm more into that type of series. And when I watch TV, more than a movie that is not something that happened in reality, you know. to me, the Louis Resto story is very interesting. Alexis Arguello, Aaron Pryor, those to me, because it happened, they left a mark in the sport, and those are things. That's why I think I'm very fortunate. I'm very privileged to work with all the commissions in the sport of boxing, and they always compliment me. You know why? Because I go do my job. I don't give the commissions any problems. I try to do everything by the book. Why? Because they're doing their job. Yeah. I see a lot of trainers that argue with commissions. They're just doing their job.
They're just protecting people.
A lot of time it's those that trying to get attention that I know what I'm doing. You don't know what, and trying to be disrespectful. End of the day, those trainers, managers end up closing doors on themselves.
I'm not gonna talk in my favor in any way, but I go to places and they already know me. I go to California, Texas, Nevada, New York, you name it, Chicago, New Jersey, every commission, they know me as I walk in. And hey, sir, it's always a pleasure working with you. I do things right. I always tell them, hey, look, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I don't do things that's gonna harm my fighter or harm the opponent. Why? Because this is a sport, and I want to be in the sport for a long time, and I don't want to have a bad reputation with anybody, and always have the red flag on me when the commission's there. Nah, you know what? I do my rap properly. I work properly with my cut medicine and whatever, because in this sport, it's great when they greet you in a good way when you come to the arenas. It feels great. California Commission, every single inspector, hey, Mr. Diaz, how are you? Great. And it's good when what's his name, Mark from the commission, came to me the other day at a Thompson show, and he tells me, hey, I want to tell you, I'm very proud of your son.
Yeah. He sent me a long text about Joelito and part of the staff.
He says, I'm very proud of your son, man. He says, back in Fantasy Springs, that kid did a great job. Yeah. He told me this, and I said, don't tell him, because then his head's going to get like
No, because then he's going to want another pair of $1,000 shoes. He don't need that.
I said, you know what? I said, I know, sometimes once in a while I ring a bell on him, but I mean, I'm proud of him. He's doing great.
He does a great job,
but, he's doing a great job. And same thing with Larry. Larry called me the other day. And how you doing? Hey, Larry, I'm great. I know Larry for many, many years.
Inspector with California?
Yeah. Larry, my son was 8 years old. And I'll never forget. And this, I'm gonna be grateful with Larry for the rest of my life. My wife is working, and I didn't have anybody to take care of my kid, so I take him with me, and I'm gonna fight. And I'm like, oh man. And I'm like, I gotta work here, and I have my son in the dressing room, and Larry walks in. Hey, if you're not licensed, if you're not part of a team, everybody needs to get out of the dressing room. Shit.
Which is the law.
Yeah, of course. You gotta go by the law, right? So my son's with me, and like, who's gonna take care of him? Almost like he's only 8 years old. And then I tell Larry, hey Larry, my son, and he goes, okay, just tell him to be a fly on the wall. All right. So my son's sitting in the corner over there in a chair. He doesn't move. He's just right there. So
wait, Jolito's like this with the coke.
Yeah. So I go, just be a fly on the wall, dude. Hey, sit right there. So we walk into the fight, and he's sitting right behind me in my seat as I'm working the corner. And Larry knows. Larry called me. He goes, hey, I know your son needs one more semester to get his degree. He says he better get on it, and I better be invited. And if that boy doesn't invite me, he goes, he's gonna get it. So Larry is a great guy, and going back to those days when we started, and where we're at now after so many years, I really appreciate everything. I always see what everybody does for my son and for my family. I'm very grateful. I'm grateful, and I think I'm just privileged. But at the same time, they're starting their own thing, and they're dependent. So
I'll tell you this to both of you: your kids who have your names, Roberto Diaz, your son, Roberto Diaz Jr. Everybody calls him Bobby. Joel Diaz, Joel Jr. Everybody calls him just Joel, or Jr. They don't know I mean, obviously the hardcore people in the business know that they're your kids, but when they're working, they don't know that they're your kids. I think, you know, my son is 15, and that's kind of the thing what I'm trying to teach him is, look, you have to be your own person. You show up on your own, you wake up on your own, you do your own damn thing. I could take you, but at the end of the day, you got to do it. You can't be somebody, no te puedo dar la mano todo el tiempo. So your kids, and I'm not saying this because we're on the show and I've been drinking, but because your kids are forging their own ways in different paths, and kudos to you. And this isn't about that. It's just more of, you guys have done a good job raising your kids to be good young men. At the end of the day, they're a reflection of you. And
absolutely,
the part of what ThursDIAZ is all about is the story times and the stories you tell. Y lo tanto que han sufrido ustedes los dos to get to where you're at. Coach, you're talking about your son. You're training a fighter who's getting hit in the face while your 8-year-old is in the back to make sure that he even behaves. Roberto, I know you've talked about taking Bobby to shows with you where it's like, I got to make sure that I have something going on here. Hey, make sure you behave too. And that's why we love the sport of boxing, because it becomes that family affair. Look, it's an hour 35 of just doing the show. It feels like 5 minutes. You know, it's just la plática con los tíos of what we have, and that's what we've built since March. We've built this, where people are watching with us and they're continuing with us. And if we have audio issues, they watch us. If they continue to go with us, because we get to do something that we love in this sport. Every single day we get to wake up and say, I love what I'm doing. And we have a lot of friends who wake up every day and say, you know what, my principal's calling me to complain. My teacher is this, or my boss is this, or this is that. We wake up and say, you know what, vamos, a darle, right? And that's all we want to do is live our dream, and that's why we get to tell these great stories. And I don't know what tangent I'm on right now, but it just kudos to you and respect to you guys for raising great kids that are making their own way right now.
Thank you so much.
I remember being in Texas. I think it was El Paso. Might have been Escalante fighting. And Bobby might have been 8, 9, maybe 10 years old. And I don't know, I took him with me. And I'm like, okay, cabrón, vas a trabajar. I'm here to work, you're here to work. What am I going to do? I want you to make sure the locker rooms have water, they have towels, they have buckets. And then you're passing out the gloves, but I want you to collect the gloves. And Big Greg from the commission, his son was there too. So I said, one of you guys collect the red corner, one of you guys collect the blue corner, but both you guys bring the gloves back. We'll put them in a bag. And a lot of times I would donate them to Big Greg for the gyms, the local gyms, the kids, the amateurs. Bobby comes back, and then Samson Lukowicz comes over to me. By the way, to Samson, he just had surgery. Everything went well. Hope you get better quickly.
That's Samson?
Samson Lukowicz is his own promoter. He's a promoter for Javier Fortuna, amongst other fighters. Been around boxing for many years. And he comes over to me and says, hey, I tried to pay for the gloves because he had the main event. He had the opponent for Escalante. But some little boy, he kept fighting me for the gloves. And I told him, don't you know who I am? I'm Samson. I don't care who you are, but these gloves, if I'm in trouble, I have to collect them. Look, I'll pay for them. My fighter's going to retire after the fight. He lost today. We'll pay for them. No, sir, you don't pay for them. These are our gloves. So Samson came over to me to say, Roberto, can I please pay for the gloves? But this little kid, I don't know who he is. He wouldn't let me. So I was very proud that Bobby didn't take the money. First of all. And ended up giving Samson the gloves for his fighter. But he learned from a very early age. It wasn't because you're my son, you're just going to come and say, look, I want you to go help the guys, put water, do this, do that. And he liked it. But I wanted him to learn. If you're going to like it, I want you to learn from bottom up. Yep. Wherever you end up working. Because if you don't like this, then it's good. I want you to strive for more. And look, he's going after, doing the media. He wants to be a commentator. He wants to work with TV, sports, and everything. So I said, hey, go for it. Yeah. And also, Razo's son, JR, the kid, he does work too, man. Razo's kid, you don't try to take gloves from him. He's taking care of it. Shout out to everybody who does the good stuff. Here we go. Questions here. This comes from Outlaw. Roberto, what's going on with Jonathan Navarro and Romel Caballero? Romel Caballero, I think he's out for a while. I think he just had a baby, or around this time his girl's having a baby, and congratulations if he's already been born. But he started having some some headaches.
Oh.
And been to several doctors, had several tests. Everything's coming back negative. There's nothing wrong. However, the headaches aren't going away. So I talked to Marco, and I said, look, Marco, don't rush him back in there. I mean, tremendous talent. He's exciting, powerful, heavy-handed. But you don't want to play with headaches. You know, it could be neurological. It could be, you never know. So why push it? And to this moment, I haven't heard back if, you know, he's been in the gym or training or anything. So I haven't pushed it there. With Jonathan, I know he's ready to get back in the ring. We're waiting for some dates, and he'll be one of the first ones, you know, obviously, because he's here, no travel restrictions, and we'll get him in there. Obviously, I want him to start looking at those regional belts and getting him into some fights. He's been out for a while. He got married. Congratulations there. It's been a while, but I want him to get back in the ring, couple fights, and then, you know, go look for some big things.
This comes from our friend Antonio Diaz. Roberto, bully against David Lemieux.
You know what? I was reading. I know we talked about that one. Could possibly be David. Obviously wants some big fights, and a fight with Bully is high risk, low reward for him right now. But recently, I saw where they paired Bully against Berlanga. And, you know, Berlanga has a great record. He's 14-0, 14 knockouts.
Top rank kid?
14 all 14 in the first round.
In the first round, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, hey, I'm open to that because, you know, no disrespect. The kid's a good-looking kid, strong, obviously impressive record. But he's going to be lacking the experience once he gets in there with Bully because Bully's gone the rounds. Bully's gone in there with the competition that's coming to fight and win.
Yep.
And Bully, even though he doesn't have the 14 wins, 14 knockouts all in the first round, that power's for real, man. But anybody that Bully hits, they're going.
Oh, yeah.
This one comes from Saucy. Coach, did you ever meet Diego Chico Corrales?
Yeah. Diego Chico Corrales. I have a story about Diego Corrales. And Antonio knows it really well. And it's one of those stories where Diego Corrales was training in Coachella when we were training there, when he fought Robert Garcia for the IBF. And he was sparring, and we were providing him with sparring. He was here with his father and his trainer. At that time, I remember David Vasquez. David Vasquez was a kid from Blythe that was rugged. He fought everybody, you know. David Vasquez fought everybody except Muhammad Ali. And David Vasquez, he didn't care. He fought everybody. And then one day, it was a week before the fight, Beto. He uses the old school fighters always use old school Reyes gloves. And those gloves were like really hard and you know, dry.
As they get old, como que se pudre la piel.
Yeah, se ponen bien duros los cabrones, ¿no?
The Reyes gloves.
Yes, the Reyes.
Because it's horsehair.
Yeah, in a sparring session, Diego Corrales was sparring David Vasquez. And David, I don't know, caught Corrales close to the eye right here. And Corrales got a swelling, like a big old lump under his eye. And it was like a cut. But it wasn't a deep cut, it was a scratch. But it looked open because it was open. It was swelled up. So Diego Corrales gets off the ring a week before his IBF title fight. And he starts like throwing things around. He's mad, like, or whatever. So I tell him, hey, Diego, hey, relax. I said, everything's going to be fine. So I call my dad. My dad is really good. I mean, you told
the story a little bit. Yeah, it's a great story.
Yeah, I mean, if you have any injuries in your bones, your whatever, your elbows, your ankle, you go with my dad will fix you. And then, so I call my dad, and my dad, he goes, oh, mijo, bring him over here. So I go with my dad, and my dad goes, no te preocupes, todo está bien, you know. So my dad tells me, get some aloe vera, get some sea salt, and here. So my dad takes care of him, and he puts like gauze and tape over it. And he goes, tomorrow morning, you're going to be fine. Yeah. I remember my dad and I drove to Indian Palms Country Club, where he was staying at the time, and knocked on his door early morning, 9, 10 a.m. And when he opened the door, my daddy goes, "Hey, how you doing?" "Yeah, okay." And then Diego Corrales was scared, removing the gauze that he had on. By the time my dad removed that thing, there was nothing there. No swelling. And the little cut that he had it looked like a big cut, but it looked like a scratch. And my dad says, "Oh, you're going to be fine." And he was like, oh, he wanted to pay my dad. "How much I owe you?" No, don't worry about it. You don't owe me nothing, you know. So he goes, "Look, this is what you're going to do. You're going to keep treating that thing with this, with that. And the day of the fight, before the fight, get some clear nail polish and just put it on." He fought, he won the fight, and he came back and thanked my dad and thanked us. Years later, after that, one day, I'm at the gym by myself training in Coachella. And the doors open to the gym, and I see Shea Mosley and Diego Corrales walking. "Hey, how you doing?" Like, oh shit. I mean, they were just driving around. They decided to drive to Palm Springs. They came to the gym, and it was about time to close, and they walk in. So I'm like, oh shit, Shea Mosley and Diego Corrales here. Yeah, Diego Corrales was good friends with Antonio.
Everybody's friends with Antonio.
Diego Corrales was really good friends with Antonio. They were always in touch. I mean, they trained together, and I mean, Diego Corrales was a great kid, man, one of the best. Very humble, very respectful, very caring guy, you know. Unfortunately, we lost him, and we will never forget his biggest fights with Castillo. I mean, but yes, I remember I spent time with Diego Corrales, and we had some great moments.
It's because now I'm feeling like not that it's just like Virgil Ortiz, his pro debut was 4 years ago today, and DAZN posted the video of it, and he knocked out somebody in the first round. Coach, you were right there with them. It was at Fancy Springs, and I saw that, and I heard myself.
Vegas. Oh.
No, it was Fancy Springs.
Fancy Springs.
Yeah, I was on the broadcast, me and Steve Kim, and I posted it. I'm like, it's cool to see the rise of somebody that you've met from the beginning to where they go. It's just like Russell Westbrook, the player for the Houston Rockets. I used to call his high school games at Lusinger High for Hawthorne Cable when he was in 11th grade. He wasn't getting recruited by anybody. He wasn't even a starter on the team. And I was just happy that he went to UCLA. I'm like, cool. You know, and now he becomes this big star. Or young kids that you've seen in the minor leagues get to somewhere. And it's good to see the rise of it. Mind you, I'm now going to be 42, and you start seeing people grow up, and it's like, this is great to see because professional athletes are the 1% of their sport to get to where they're at. And I always give credit. Like, I'm never one of those broadcasters that makes fun of guys who are like 3 and 15. It's like, you have the fucking huevos to get in the ring. Hey, kudos to you, because we need those kind of fighters to make the young kids. So you see that.
How easy could it be? And most would do it if they're maybe 3 wins and 3 losses and realize, you know what, this is too tough for me to be fighting for little money because I'm not getting paid the big bucks for when you're 3 and 3. Yet some of these guys keep going and keep going, and in most cases hold a job or 2.
Yeah,
because they're not making all this money from fighting.
Well, there's a kid that you guys use a lot. Diolo Guin out of Guadalajara. He shows up. He will lose to half of your fighters, and he'll beat half of your fighters. Pedro Melo. I mean, kind of kids that just like, why are you guys fighting? Me encanta el deporte, and that's what the beauty about ThursDIAZ is. You tell the stories about guys that you've met over the years that leave an impression on you, and you're like, man, this is so cool. That's why I respect what you guys are doing with the sport and what's going on. That's why when I texted you, Roberto, we're doing the show tonight? Absolutely. Coach, absolutely. Last week, this is how I know we're growing something. And look, I've had people approach me and be like, hey, what are you guys doing with the show? We could do it a different way. I'm fine with what we're doing. We don't need guests, except for Razo. Toño, afuera. Because Toño finally checks in after he had a long massage. But Evan Sanchez's dad last week, the young man who fought for Golden Boy the first fight, who was on the DAZN broadcast because Hesta and Tanahara fell out. I'm back there. I'm talking to him. Kid from Parlier. Nobody knows where that's at. It's a small farming town. And I'm talking to the dad. He's like, Beto, I feel like I know you. I was like, oh, no, I met you before. We did the Velasco show. He's like, no. ThursDIAZ.
That's cool.
And I'm talking to him, and I'm asking the kid, some questions, this and that, and then the dad is like, I was like, hey man, just mess around. I was like, oh, you got the Adidas, you got Mr. Boxing Guru. He's like, yeah, Sal's a good kid. I was like, man, fuck Sal, fuck Adidas, fuck Mr. Boxing Guru. And he's like, damn, Beto, I knew you'd be like that. The same kind of attitude you have. He's like, I know you get along with Sal and Guru. You guys get along. I was like, he goes, the way you are off the camera is the way you are in person. I'm like, at the end of the day, all you have to do is just be yourself. And that's what we do on the show. We have some fun, and we're continuing to grow the community. So shout out to Evan Sanchez and his family, and Joe Diaz, the trainer. And it's just, we're growing something here. I don't know what it is, but every Thursday, people are coming and saying, hey, I'm listening to ThursDIAZ. And it's just a lot of fun.
I think it could be with the pandemic where we're at. A lot of people, are home and everything. And if we can provide them at least once a week with those couple hours of jokes, fun, stories, entertainment, hey, you know what? That's what makes it enjoyable.
Look, Beto, like one of the things that I thought about my new gym. Every day I think about different things and how to make my gym a little more attractive to people. My gym is gonna be like this. I have one wall. I have a friend that he's a plasterer. He's gonna do plaster on one wall, only one wall. So what I'm gonna do is every time my fighter walks in my gym, I'm gonna have him sign a wall.
Ooh.
So that whole wall is gonna be full of signatures of fighters. And hopefully I can get Oscar to come one day and sign the wall, take a picture of Oscar. But I have a lot of pictures that don't fit in my office. Like, look.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
El Diamante
and Virgil.
Ortiz.
Yeah, I got pictures of Lucas Matisse. I mean, you name it. All the fighters I've worked with, Lucas Matisse, Ruslan Provodnikov. I mean, all these fighters that I got in camp right now. Beck, Israel, Shakram. Every single one of my fighters are gonna have a picture in my gym. Why? Because they're part of my life. Every fighter that is in the back. If I would do a mural, I would put everybody together. Honestly, you know what? Antonio told me recently. Antonio says, hey, when we get the gym open and you do a mural, make sure you have Tim Bradley there. Of course. Why not? Why? Because, I think that Bradley made me, I made him, we made each other, and we had a great career, 5 world titles together.
Absolutely.
5?
Absolutely.
5. Bradley and I captured 5 world titles together.
Wow.
And, and it's something that is part of history, and, it's going to be there,
Wow. Does Toño go on the wall?
Nah. You know why? I'm going to tell you why Antonio cannot go on the wall. Because since I'm going to put plaster, Antonio can go on there because Margarito used plaster on him. I'm sorry, guys.
Sorry, Antonio, sorry. No more bullying.
No more bullying. You know what? I think Margarito gave my brother double dose on that one of plaster. Because since that moment, since that fight, Antonio's never been the same. Even my mom don't like him.
Shout out to Cesar Campos, Sulen Urbina, the Green Eyed Bandit, Art Alvarado, everybody who's been here since day one, back in March when I got so drunk I had to go pee outside and Coach was doing the show by himself and we ended up wearing helmets. Wow. Okay, all right. Last question. Coach, this comes from Fino Boxing. You have a fight with Thomas Delorme. He has a good fight coming up. What's that going on? Where's it at?
I just got the information today. Honestly, it's gonna be at the Microsoft Theater in LA. Tomas Delorme is fighting Jamal James. It's a great fight. I think Jamal James, it's a great fighter, but it's perfect for Delorme. And not because I trained Delorme. I've seen Delorme and Antonio's watching and he knows. Delorme has improved so much since he came to me that I'll put Delorme with anybody right now. Honestly.
Oh.
Delorme right now, he's very strong. coordination, his timing, his distance. I mean, he is. I can guarantee you guys a knockout in this fight. I can guarantee you that
No way.
Tomás Delorme is gonna knock out Jamal James because the way I see him, he's been sparring Israel Madrimov. Israel Madrimov is a kid that he is powerful with every punch, and I mean, I'm not telling you that Delorme is putting hands on Madrimov, but he's doing great rounds. They're doing great rounds with each other. Brandon Lee is also sparring with him. Bobby John Momimov is another one that's been helping. And I think right now, every fighter that I have in camp, it's at the top level of the sport right now. So, like I told you the other day, I'll go to a fight, and I could take a fighter that is a low-level fighter, and he's always going to perform at his best. This past weekend, I took a kid that came from Chile.
Yeah, he's tough.
Okay, that kid right there, he's very low on ability, on boxing ability. I mean, yeah. Ruben Torres is a kid that has a lot of potential, great structure, tall kid, and power. I walk into this fight because I was offered the fight. This kid from Chile has been here for months. He needs to fight. But we know that he's not a kid that has that future world championship status.
He's a gatekeeper.
He's a gatekeeper.
But he's tough, man. That kid was tough.
We prepared him well, and you saw that he gave Ruben Torres a great fight.
Yeah.
The only difference was that Ruben Torres was being the accurate puncher, and he was doing the more damage. At the end of the fight, my boy was not going to win. So when Ray Corona came to me and says, "Hey, coach," I said, "Yes, I know. He's taking a little bit of punishment. I'm giving him one more round. If he doesn't show me otherwise, I'm stopping him." But the bell rings, he gets in there, and he gets caught with 3 good solid shots. Ray Corona slips in and stops him. I was happy with it. I was happy. Mark came from the commission, and he asked me, "Were you okay with the stoppage? Because right now we have a new." I go, "No. I was about to stop it myself. You know, I like to take care of my fighters. I don't take a fighter to a fight just to get beat up. No. I care for them regardless of what level they are. I care for every single one of my fighters. I don't care if he's a world champion or if he's a 4-round fighter. I care for them the same. And that night, I was making sure that Oscar Bravo, obviously, was going to perform at his best and up to a certain extent, and I was going to be there to take care of him, and I did.
You took care of him. He goes home to his family with a good check. And you know what? He gave a good performance because he gave Torres his toughest opposition. And Ruben Torres, for those you don't know, he fights for Thompson Boxing. Good kid to fight, to follow. He's now 13-0, 11 stoppages. He's developing really nice. And, Coach, you had your fighter prepared really well. It was a tough task, but he was giving him some fits until he started figuring out. So those are the kind of guys that you
remember. Something to keep in mind is he's been training with you for how long? 2-3 months?
2-3 months.
So it's not like he's been there from day one. And 2, and it's no knock. I mean, it's just what it is. He's from Chile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There isn't this huge boxing going on in Chile. So it's not like this kid has had a good background of experience. Yeah. He's probably had to go places.
Well, he fought Will Tomlinson in Australia.
See, that's what I'm saying. He's probably gone to everybody's backyard because Chile's not big in boxing. It's more football. And there's been only probably a handful of fighters that ever come out of Chile.
Beto, you know what I heard?
Hey, did you just make a drink, Coach?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I was about to finish the show, but since you're going to make one, Beto,
Beto, you know what? I got a message the following day after the fight. You know, Thompson had that pay-per-view.
Yeah, I know. Oh, we had complaints.
Okay. Well, the thing is this kid's from Chile. Since there's no boxing in Chile, not a lot of boxing in Chile. If there's a boxer that comes from Chile, they're very attractive. They get a lot of following. There was more pay-per-views in Chile than there were in the U.S.
Hey, Coach.
Are you serious?
Roberto, yes.
No,
I got a message the next day and says, hey, because we were in the dressing room and we did a live on my Instagram. Roberto, we had so many people watching. And the following day, they tell me, hey, coach, just letting you know that there was more pay-per-views buys in Chile than in the U.S.
Also, Bravo, he's a veteran, Roberto. He has, I think, 10 losses now, but he's a veteran. He's fought all over the world. He fought in Ghana, fought in South Africa, fought in Australia. So he has a good following in Chile. And he has a lot of followers on Instagram. So on purpose, during the broadcast, I said, saludos a toda la gente que nos está mirando en Santiago de Chile, a toda la gente en Valparaíso. I even said this, hasta los que fueron a la casa de Pablo Neruda. You know, I'm shouting everything. So,
wow,
you know how
cool.
I am. I shout out everything that you could possibly... I don't pay attention to the fight. I shout out everything else that can... Lo que no importa. So I just made myself a drink. Shots... No more shots. Saludos a todos. Because I'm...
Saludos.
Saludos.
All right, Roberto, I'm going to answer for you. Everybody wants to know, when is Sulem fighting? We don't know because it's...
No. Sulem, yes.
Oh, you do know?
So the plan is September for Sulem.
Aye.
Unless I can get my way with this October all-women's fight card that I want to push, then I'll move it October. But if not September...
Wait, hold on, Roberto, hold on. Go back. All-women's card?
That's a goal that I have. Women is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I think to have an all-women boxing event, 4 or 5 fights on there. You have Senicia, you have Marlene, you have Franchon, you have Sulem, you have Virgil Ortiz, all of them fighting on one card, not against each other yet. I want each of them to have their one fight, and well, Senicia had it, Marlene's coming up, Sulem has to have hers. Then we could start seeing a mix of them fighting each other. One thing I've talked with Sulem and Mauricio Suleiman at the WBC is she will be fighting for a title in her next fight. An international belt with the WBC, and then obviously from there on for the world title. So absolutely, she's on my mind. I want to get a date. I'm just waiting for more dates. She was one of the ones, and I give her a lot of gratitude, a lot of appreciation, because she stepped up and came to my support, sent me some words of encouragement after what happened, and you know what? She understands the sport obviously better than many, because she's in the sport and she's in the ring and she knows how difficult it is.
Marco Favela says, Sulem, ThursDIAZ logo on your trunks.
Hey.
And for those that don't know, because it hasn't been announced officially or anything, she is part of the Golden Boy family. Obviously, we were already in discussions to sign. The pandemic hit, and I said, look, let me get through the pandemic. Let's all get through it. Once we get back and going back in the office, we still haven't gone back to the office. Even though we did one show, the office is still closed. But she, thanks to Joel, because he was one of the first ones to talk to me and said, hey, you know what, let's help Sulem. And yes, absolutely, she will be a Golden Boy, a Golden Girl fighter, and one of our next champions.
Wow, that's awesome. So ThursDIAZ has officially signed their first fighter. We are now going to take 48%. Not that expensive. We are not.
48.
No, I mean, why be greedy? We don't want 50. Come on now. We're not. Okay. Well, congratulations, Sulem, and cheers to you and everything else. Sulem's a great person. If you guys don't know who Sulem Arena is, fantastic female fighter, go and just Google her story. There's a great little mini documentary on YouTube about Sulem and what she's had to go through it. And I don't want to give too much away, but just go. Buena gente, as my sister would say.
Do you know that Sulem, I don't recall right now if it was a stablemate or related, a brother that fought Dominic Salcido?
Yeah, one of her brothers.
Yeah, one of her brothers, Saul Ochoa.
Yeah. Hey, believe me, one day she told me, hey, you know that my brother fought Dominic Salcido and you were there in the corner going,
It's the sport of boxing. Everything comes full circle. You just never know who you're going to end up working with. So the people you don't like, be nice to them, because
this past weekend, Beto, that kid that fought the Japanese kid. Remember on Thompson? remember there was a Japanese kid or Korean or Asian kid that fought before us.
Oh, Arnold Dinon, the opponent. Arnold Dinon's from Hawaii.
Yeah. Okay, Hawaiian kid. Okay, the opponent, he was in the next room.
Yeah, Brandon Cruz from San Diego.
Yeah, he was next door to my room, and he was losing weight. So I'm going to my room, and I open the door, and as I'm walking in, his trainer comes out. He goes, "Hey, Joel, how are you?" I'm good. And he goes, "Yeah, we're having a little trouble with the weight with the boy." So the boy comes out, and he goes, "Hey, Joel, ¿cómo estás? Una foto." I go, "Sí, vete." And he goes, "Hey, mi papá peleó con tu hermano." I go, "Okay."
Oh, it's su papá peleó con el hermano. It must be Antonio, the older.
No, it was Julio. It was Julio.
When he said that, I walked in and asked him who is Julio or Antonio. He goes, "Oh, sí, dice, sí me acuerdo, mi papá peleó con tu hermano." Okay. You know, those are the stories that you go back and say, okay, you know, his brother fought with this guy.
He was baby Cepeda's son. Oh. He fought with Antonio.
Here we go. That's what. So Lem says, my brother fought Dominic, and my other brother fought Dominic's family outside the ring.
Oh, shit. Oh, yeah, because I know one of the cornermen was like a cousin or something of Dominic, and he wanted Victor. He always wanted to fight with all the fans, and it was like, Victor, you'll never win, bro. There's going to be fights a lot, especially how Dominic fights.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maldita pobreza. Ya váyanse a dormir. It's Thursday. I still got to upload the podcast. We will do this again next week. Roberto, August 28th, of course, Golden Boy.
August 28th, the return of El Niño de Oro.
El Niño de Oro. Linares against?
Against Javier Fortuna. 12 rounds for the Diamond Belt.
And also,
that's gonna be a great fight for the fans, because Fortuna is a great fighter, and obviously everybody knows Jorge Linares.
Yeah.
So tune in and don't miss that fight, because that fight is gonna be a great fight for the boxing fans. August 28th.
And who is on the undercard? It was officially announced.
Rashidi Ellis, Bully's back.
Oh, Bully's for sure on that card?
Absolutely.
Against
Bully's
who?
Back. He's fighting Alan Campa.
Campa's tough.
Tough kid. He's gone the rounds with other fighters, and here's another test for Bully to see if we're hoping he gets some rounds so he can get some experience, but he keeps turning us down. He keeps saying, no, one round.
Campa is tough. That's a tough dude.
Alexis Rocha, Marlene Esparza, and Lamont Roach Jr.
Oh, Lamont's on the card.
That's a great card.
It's a stack card, man. It's a stack card. It's a fun card. Look, Marlene's coming off her world title fight. Lamont's coming off his world title fight. They were supposed to be on the March 19th card, so they're back. Obviously we all want to see Bully back. He's exciting. He's fun. He's smiling. He loves what he does. Knocks people out. Alexis Rocha is focused and ready to start putting his name into that welterweight hat. And Rashidi Ellis, now number 9 in the world. And after this, he says, you know what? I want to fight Virgil. I want to fight Spence. I want to fight the big names. So
it's Rashidi against Grant Solomon?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Who Virgil beat. And Virgil
and Alexis.
And Alexis, yeah.
But Rashidi now saying, look, I'm going to go in there and beat him even in a better fashion too, so that everybody puts attention on me.
Man, that'll be a good one. And folks, you wonder if I'm drunk. I'm not drunk. I'm buzzed. And the hair is long because I haven't got a haircut. And I'm not going to get a haircut until I need to. So las greñas are going. So that's why I brushed my hair tonight, because it's not. Man. All right, here we go. All right, so Roberto Diaz, gracias. Joel Diaz, gracias. Thanks along, as always, for everybody. So everybody who's been here since day one. So Lemo Urbina, como siempre, Leti Ariola, gracias por todo. If you guys missed any of the show, you can always listen on iTunes and on Spotify. We will see you next week. Thanks to Maverick Ace for sending the whiskey. And I'm not even a whiskey drinker, Peter.
He made some damage.
Damn. He did some damage.
That's almost half the bottle right there.
California Spirit Whiskey.
Look, this was
También?
Look, right here.
I can't do damage.
Ustedes son malas influencias para mí hoy.
Yeah. I was supposed to play golf tomorrow, but forget, I'm going to sleep in. So for everybody who's listening, thanks, Diaz.
Porque sí me comí todas las naranjas.
Good night, everybody. Adiós, señores.
Good night. Stay safe, everyone.
Hey, good night, everybody.